I think I have something to say on the topic of advocacy, specifically political advocacy, because there's been a kind of trend that I've seen in online forums and things where people are using the language of their own political in-group, their own political circle, their own political echo chamber, essentially, and they're taking that language, they're bringing it outside, and they're going, right, I'm going to present these ideas to the world, and they're using this language to present the ideas to the world that they've developed in their own echo chamber, and they're not seeing results. And then they're kind of worried that nobody's following their particular brand of anarcho-syndical tomato soupism. And it's a real issue, because I'd like people to be able to discuss political ideas in a way where people just aren't hitting brick walls of language. Do you remember in the Occupy Wall Street movement, there was a particular clip of a guy, and he had I think it was an iPad or a laptop, I think probably an iPad, let's call it an iPad, and he was putting across the idea of down with private property. And the woman interviewing him, probably facetiously, said, oh, so if down with private property, can I have your iPad? And he said, well, no, this is personal property, not private property. And everybody laughed. Everybody watching the video, that was a joke. Complete joke. And it wasn't because what he was saying didn't have some kind of intellectual rigor within his echo chamber. And like left anarchist theory has a whole history. And they do have a definition for personal and private property. They have different, these are two different concepts. But outside of that circle, those two things mean the same thing to the layman. And he was using this term outside of his circle and expecting results. And in reality, all he was getting was ridicule. Other groups get this too. Social justice, for example, uses the sociological definition of ism, which came back in the 1990s, which means a prejudice plus an institutional power. So this is like sexism and racism and stuff like that, being separate to racial discrimination, sexual discrimination. Those are two different ideas to social justice people, but maybe to the layman, those are the same thing. Feminism comes with the same thing, with the patriarchy. It means more than dad runs the house, right? But a lot of people don't know that. And feminists use this language of patriarchy, they just throw it in to a discussion and expect results. Doesn't happen. Communists are the worst for this, in my opinion. Bourgeois and proletariat. If I get called one of those, I just assume that I'm like a room with cushions in or something like that. And this isn't all confined to the left. Like, when it comes to right-wing economic views, libertarianism runs into this with the words free market. You just say those outside of the libertarian circle and you'll just get laughed out the room. It means something within that particular echo chamber, but outside of that echo chamber, it's just a particular, it's just a trigger phrase, and people just find it humorous, and they just don't take it seriously. The same with the word statist when it comes to libertarian stuff. Statist, what does that mean? I live in the States? Who knows? So what I'm saying is you need to work out which language you use in a discussion is language that your political circle has made up, and which is language that everybody will know. And if you are going to debate, you either need to define these particular terms clearly at the start so people know what you're referring to. Because, the reason you make these words up is it's shorthand, right? You don't want to have to go on a long-winded discussion every time you mean something specific with personal property. You don't want to have to say 20 words when you can just say personal property. So when you're debating, yes, like I said, you need to be aware of which words are ones you've made up, or ones you're using that laymen don't use, and either define them properly or just don't use them at all. And that's how you can be more effective in advocating your political position, because otherwise people just aren't going to take you seriously, or they're just going to have no idea what you're saying. I think that's all I have to say on the matter. Do you like this HD? I do.